Empty Your Mind, a powerful motivational story for your life. There was once a young man named Elias. Elias lived in a quiet town surrounded by hills, rivers, and fields. From the outside, he seemed like everyone else. But inside, he carried a storm. Every day, his thoughts spun like restless birds trapped in a cage. He worried about the past, about mistakes he could not change. He feared the future, imagining problems that had not yet come. He compared himself to others, and he always felt behind. Even when the sun rose beautifully over the hills, Elias could not see it. Even when friends spoke to him with kindness, his heart felt far away. It was as if his mind was full of noise, always talking, never resting. And so Elias felt tired, heavy, and lost. He longed for peace, but he did not know where to find it. One evening, unable to bear the weight in his chest, he went for a walk. The sky was painted in soft orange and purple. The river near his home shimmered with the light of the setting sun. Yet, Elias's heart was still restless. As he walked, he saw an old monk sitting by the riverbank. The monk's robe was simple, his face calm, his eyes gentle. He looked as if the worries of the world had never touched him. Elias stopped and watched him. For a moment, Elias felt a small spark of curiosity. How could this man be so still, so peaceful, while he himself was drowning inside? Gathering courage, Elias stepped forward and said, "Sir, my mind never stops. I feel like I am carrying 100 voices, and they exhaust me. I cannot rest. I cannot breathe. Please, tell me, how can I find peace?" The old monk looked at him kindly. He smiled, and then, without saying a word, he picked up a small clay cup. He dipped it into the river and filled it with water. Then he held it out to Elias and said softly, "Take this cup and hold it carefully without spilling." Elias did as he was told. The cup was full, right to the edge. He walked a few steps, trembling with fear that a single drop might fall. He kept his eyes fixed on the water, his hands tense, his breath shallow. When he returned, the monk asked, "What did you notice while carrying the cup?" The cup was full, right to the edge. He walked a few steps, trembling with fear that a single drop might fall. He kept his eyes fixed on the water, his hands tense, his breath shallow. When he returned, the monk asked, "What did you notice while carrying the cup?" Elias said, "I noticed nothing but the water. I was too afraid to look away. I felt only the weight of the cup, and I thought of nothing else." The monk's eyes glowed with quiet wisdom. He nodded and said, "This is the way of the mind. Your thoughts are like this cup of water, always full, always overflowing. When you cling to them, you cannot see the world around you. But when you learn to empty the cup, you free yourself to see the sunset, the river, the stars. Peace comes, not when you hold tightly, but when you let go." Elias listened, but his heart still struggled to believe. "How can I empty my mind?" he asked. "These thoughts come without warning. I cannot stop them." The monk smiled again, and this time he stood up. He poured the water from the cup back into the river. The water rippled, merged, and disappeared. "Thoughts will always come," the monk said. "But they are like this water. You do not have to hold them. You can let them flow back to where they came from. Do not fight them. Do not chase them. Simply return them to the river." Elias felt a quiet stirring in his chest. It was the first time someone had explained his suffering in such a simple way. And yet, the challenge remained: how to practice this truth. The monk gave him a task. Each day, sit by the river for a few moments. Hold a cup of water in your hands. Focus only on the water, and then, when you are ready, pour it back into the river. As you do, imagine your worries returning to the flow of life. Imagine yourself lighter, freer, emptier. Elias bowed, thanked the monk, and promised to try. The next morning, as the first light touched the hills, Elias returned to the river. He held the cup in silence. At first, his thoughts screamed louder than ever. Memories of the past tugged at him. Fears of the future wrapped around him. But he remembered the monk's words. Let them flow back. He looked at the water in the cup, and he whispered to himself, "This is my fear, this is my worry, this is my pain." Then he poured it back into the river. The ripples widened, carrying away what he had named. He did this again and again, day after day. Some days it felt easy. Other days his thoughts fought harder. But slowly, Elias began to change. He noticed the sunrise again. He noticed the sound of birds, the laughter of children, the smell of bread from the bakery. His heart, once heavy, began to feel lighter. He learned to breathe deeply, to walk slowly, to listen kindly. The storm inside him did not vanish completely, but it no longer controlled him. He learned that thoughts were only visitors, not masters. They could come, and they could go. And he, Elias, was free. Weeks later, Elias returned to the monk and said, "My cup feels lighter now. I can see the world again. I have learned that my mind is like the river, always moving, never still. But I do not need to drown in it. I can stand on the shore, watching the water flow." The monk placed a hand on his shoulder and said, "Then you have learned the secret of peace. Life is not about holding everything inside. It is about emptying your mind again and again, so that your heart can be full of life, love, and presence." And in that moment, Elias felt a deep calm. A calm that did not come from changing the world outside, but from changing how he carried the world inside. He left the river that day with a new light in his eyes. He smiled more often. He forgave his past. He trusted his future. And he learned to live in the gift of the present. Dear listener, Elias's story is not just his, it is yours too. We all carry heavy cups. We all hold thoughts that tire us, fears that bind us, memories that wound us. But peace is possible when we learn to pour them back into the river of life. Empty your mind. Let go of the weight you carry. And in that space of silence, you will find freedom, clarity, and peace. Remember this truth. The more you empty, the more you can receive. The lighter you become, the higher you can rise. And the quieter your mind, the louder your soul will sing. So tonight, when the sun sets, imagine yourself holding a cup. See your worries inside it. And then, let them go. Let them return to the river and walk away free. Thank you, dear friend, for listening to this story on Finance Compass. If it touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe, so that more stories of peace and hope can find their way into the world. Until we meet again, may your mind be light, your heart be open, and your soul be at peace, like the stars shining gently above a quiet river.